We are tracking another big weather system off the Pacific coast. Will it be another Fujiwhara effect or bomb cyclone? Well, that is how we're going to unfold this weather system here. It's going to be making its way inland by the time we get to Tuesday morning. So you can see the bigger, heavier bands of rain coming in and snow for the Sierra piling up, and a lot of wind that will come with it as well. Right now, it is a low pressure system sitting off the coast here, but there's another low just down to the south of us, a weaker low that looks like it will get absorbed into that bigger low. And with it, it will bring moderate to heavy rain and snow as well as windy conditions. But the position of it looks like it won't be the higher impacts like what we saw last week. Nonetheless, it is a cold storm. Snow levels down to about 2,500 to 4,000 feet. And that means some of us that were just starting to clear out of the snow are going to see some more. We still have some concerns as well with the heavier rain coming in because we have two river systems that are under a flood warning until further notice. The San Joaquin and the Merced rivers still not only at flood stage, but actually at danger stage. This is going to be the San Joaquin River at Vernalis, reaching its latest peak at about 29.5, and it looks like it will flatten out there, finally coming below that danger stage by later in the week. But again, this is all going to have to account for some of the new rain and snow coming in. Then we head over to the Merced River. That looks like it's status quo as well, staying at that flood stage for at least the time being as we track yet another weather system coming in. All that being said, one of the looming things in the near future is going to be our snow melt, because keep in mind, April 1st is generally the time that we start to see the peak snow melt coming down the hill into our reservoirs. And right now, when you account for both reservoir storage and snowpack, the orange line right here represents this year, well above average across much of the Tahoe Basin and the Sierra as well. This is what the snowpack looks like right now. And obviously our average to date and April 1st date, well, they're going to come really close together within the next couple of days. They're actually going to be the same here, but still tracking that. And we've been sitting close to that well above average for almost the entire winter season and spring season as well. So our statewide average to date, 225% of average. And again, that's going to be very close to the April 1st average of 228% of average. All that snow melts down the hill and fills our reservoirs. So reservoir space right now is critical, and especially for the San Joaquin Valley, which has a lot smaller tributaries out of those reservoirs for when those water releases happen. There's just not as much space as, say, in extreme northern California for that water to move through. And the reason why I mention that is because I want to point out that the central and southern Sierra are particularly high. In fact, well above the 1982-83 max, when we had some flooding back then as well. Once that snowpack starts to melt, that's when we could have additional problems on our rivers. So it's not necessarily just about rainfall and snowfall at that time. There is a delayed effect when we start to get into the spring snowmelt. The northern Sierra just a little bit behind that 1983 82-83 max. And in fact, 2017 was a little bit higher even for the northern Sierra. But most of the biggest concerns could indeed be in the near future for the San Joaquin Valley as we start to see those rivers rise as the reservoir releases have to happen because of the snow melt. Our reservoir conditions right now, Shasta last week, finally above 100% of the historical average, 80% full. That is good news for our drought situation because that's our biggest reservoir in the state. That tends to feed most of the state with the water that we need. Oroville at 118% of average. That came up pretty quickly. And so right now it's 82% full. Folsom, a smaller reservoir. It feeds more of the metropolitan areas around Sacramento. That's about 66% full right now, but 110% of historical average. Release is still periodically happening on these river systems. And so just be aware that they tend to be running a bit higher right now. As far as the Central Valley, for the San Joaquin Valley in particular, New Melones, Don Pedro, San Luis, all roughly about 90 to over 100% of average. In San Luis, that's a really good situation here, 96% of average. That is both a Central Valley project as well as a state water project. So that's a nice shared reservoir that is finally coming up to nearly full. and haven't seen that in several years as well. Rainfall by water year. A lot of people talk about, oh, this is going to bust the drought. This is so great. Well, the last drought busting year that we had was 2016-17. And look at the difference in total precipitation. We had over 30 inches, almost 34 inches of rain for downtown Sacramento. This year, we're well behind that, closing in on about 24.5 inches of rain, but still, that's even behind that 2018-2019 water year, which doesn't end until September 30th. But as we dig deeper into this forecast, you're going to see by the time we get into April, we generally don't see a whole lot more rain after that. Total rainfall throughout the state is impressive. San Francisco, almost 30 inches of rain just since October 1st for the water year. Again, Sacramento, about 24.5. Redding, we're over 33.5 inches of rain. The northwest part of California was particularly hard hit with this last drought. And that can't be said for the 2012-2016 drought. That was more of a Southern California issue. Certainly Northern California had its fair share of issues, but we didn't get hit as hard as this last round of the droughts. And again, our biggest reservoirs are in the northern part of the state. So this was a drought that hit us especially hard with that situation. All of us looking at above average precipitation, and even Palm Springs coming in with about 1/10 of an inch behind. Not too bad considering that's in the desert. So let's take a look at this next storm. Is it going to be a bomb cyclone? You know, that always gets big headlines. And the key factors that we look at is there going to be a rapid pressure drop, 24 millibars or more in 24 hours or less? Will there be rapidly intensifying storm with heavy rain and snow and damaging winds? And those damaging winds can actually reach hurricane force strength. So that's why it's so critical to kind of keep an eye on that. Or will it be that Fujiwhara effect where we have two cyclones kind of dancing around each other? One is stronger, one is weaker. And what happens is the smaller one gets absorbed into the smaller one into the stronger one, resulting in a stronger storm, much stronger winds, and heavier precipitation. So let's take a look at this. Well, it does not look like this is going to be a bomb cyclone. Again, that could certainly happen within the next 24 hours. But as these two storms combine, it looks like that pressure difference isn't going to be quite at that threshold. But right now, it does look like a bigger storm is going to be absorbing a smaller storm. Bottom line here is we got more active weather in store for us, with snow and travel being on the higher impacts, wind playing in there as well in the moderate to strong range. Storm system just off the coast here with the satellite just kind of showing how those two storms are that counterclockwise circulation just moving their way in from the Pacific. We have roughly about 24 hours before we start to see some of the higher impacts of this storm system. But extreme impacts certainly along 80 and north of I-80 into parts of Plumas and Lassen counties, south of Highway 50 around Mammoth, getting some extreme impacts with travel and heavy snow. And for the coastal range just north of Clear Lake, we'll see that as well, with that winter storm warning pretty much playing out in that exact area with 2 to 4 feet of additional accumulation. Keep in mind that's going to be on top of the already historic snowfall in some areas. Wind gusts over 60 miles per hour and lower snow levels down to about 2,500 feet in some pockets, generally about 3,000 to 4,000 feet, putting snow again on places that were just starting to melt some of those winter snow storms that came through. Our wind advisory goes into place late on Monday, lasts through Tuesday, with wind gusts at about 35 to 45 miles per hour. Now, mostly Monday is a quiet day, a good day to prepare for the nasty weather heading our way. Wind gusts really ramp up during the morning on Tuesday and then start to back off during the evening hours. That will allow us to at least get a break from the winds. That can't be said, though, for the rain, because that will continue to play into our forecast a little bit deeper into the work week. Tuesday, it all gets going. Rain along the coast, moving its way inland. Snow for the northern part of the state. Watch out along I-5. Might have to get chain up again near Redding on I-5. Be prepared for a lot of travel delays there, and obviously watching for those chain controls periodically. Possible shutdowns once again along 80 and 50. We've had a lot of avalanche concerns along Highway 50. That could indeed be another factor in the forecast. But Wednesday, you can see that low pressure system just poised off the coast here will continue to give us showers in the forecast at least. And for the Sierra, even though that low is moving south of us, we'll hang on to that shower chance through early Thursday as well. Total accumulation down low, about 5 inches, but in the higher elevations, we're looking at close to about 22 to 36 inches, and in some place 48 inches of snow. For the valley, about a half an inch to an inch of rain, and for the foothills, we're closing in on about 2 to 2.5 inches of rain from this storm system. If you're looking for spring to come around anytime soon, well, it is going to be likely cooler and likely wetter in the forecast. But as I mentioned earlier, at this point in the season, likely wetter doesn't mean a complete washout. It just means that we'll be likely wetter than 1.26 inches of rain. Not too bad. We're almost seeing that light at the end of a very wet winter. Our 10-day forecast, we've got another chance of showers next weekend, but the big one, it's heading our way Tuesday into Wednesday.